Hello, Honors English Journalism students. So I'm going to go over with you today how to check over your notes and then copy them over into an MLA formatted paper into the right format for writing a good paper. So first thing I want you to do is check over your notes. So make sure you have all parts. So you should have the topic or the issue, the research question. That was pretty much like what are the best solutions? What did you find out? Maybe one sentence about the background history law that sums things up. And then what were your 3 solutions that you found? Okay. Font really doesn't matter. You can go ahead and make everything Times New Roman 12 if you want. And then your thesis statement, it should be balanced and parallel. So here's the overall thesis statement for this. Students dropping out of college hurt society as a whole. Therefore, high school communities and colleges need to come together to retain students by making sure programs are offered in high school to better academics, by offering valuable college orientation programs, and by offering bridge programs that provide study on campus between high school and college. So you'll notice we use parallel structure. I have by making sure, by offering valuable, by offering bridge. So there's 3 bys that make the thesis statement parallel. Okay, and then you should check over your notes, make sure you have all parts, and that your in-text citation matches the first word you see. Because there are 3 authors here, Atal, you just use the first name, but remember if there are only 2 authors, you will need to use both. Brief summary, and I mean you can be pretty brief as long as you have something there. And then any pertinent information, I really don't care what it is, as long as it has something to do with how you may introduce or embed your quote. So just go through and check over your paper. Make sure every single quote has an in-text citation, and the in-text citation should come right after it, and there should be 1 period that is at the end of the parentheses. There should not be 2 periods. So just make sure you're checking that out over your notes. If you want to change them all to Times New Roman, you can. So I'm going through, I'm checking, seeing if there's any. Make sure the works cited matches. Bean is bean. There's my summary. I made sure my period placement's right and all the quotes from this article. Now notice I don't have all of these filled. It doesn't matter. You don't have to have 4 quotes from each article. You just need a total of 9 in your paper, 9 to 12. Okay, here's another one. Oops, I forgot to do the summary, so I'll need to go back in and fill that in. I only used 1 quote from this article, but that's quite all right. And another solution, I did use a couple quotes from this article. I'm checking over my citations. Still going through, checking to make sure the citations match. Oops, I forgot all this stuff here, so I guess I've got to put something in here and here. All right, so I've checked through all my notes. I have something for every solution, and notice I put the solution on top for these notes. If you use the other notes, your solutions will look a little different. You'll have the articles and you'll have the thesis reason right next to it, but please make sure every thesis reason is addressed, that you have quotes for every thesis reason and about an even amount. I should say thesis solution. All right, so that's it for checking your notes. And just make sure they all look good before you go to the next step. Once you have checked all of your notes and they're complete and you're ready to start writing your paper, then do go ahead over and open up the document in Materials. And you will find it says Research Paper, Draft, and Final. And before you open it and edit it, you'll see that I have following these requirements. There's a sample essay here, and then there's the actual document, what it looks like. It's just blank until you open it. So I want to go over the requirements with you now. So for this paper, you must have at least 6 paragraphs, include at least 9 pieces of properly cited evidence, quotes and paraphrases, use at least 5 reliable sources, 3 must be from the databases. You need to use MLA format, include a properly formatted works cited page, as the last page of the paper, and follow proper paragraph structure as outlined. For grammar and conventions, do not use contractions. Do not use first or second person pronouns. Capitalize all proper nouns. All sentences should be complete sentences. No fragments or run-ons. Make sure your writing is clear and concise. Elevate vocabulary when possible and avoid commonly used words. Okay, here's your structure. So you're going to introduce your paragraph with a human truth, which is a broad opening statement about the issue. You will then move through to background introduction. You define the topic and give general information about the issue. Why is it an important issue? Any specific information must be properly cited. Do not go into too much detail here. Just give an introduction. Introduce the issue. Explain why this issue is a societal problem. What are the implications for the future if this issue remains unaddressed? And then finally, your thesis statement, which you will copy directly from your research proposal. And then you'll use your thesis to address why the issue is a problem and what 3 solutions are to the problem. Okay, your body paragraphs. 1 to 2 are on your background information, probably leaning towards 2. You can explain the history and recent laws related to the issue, any stats about the problem, keywords, etc. Your body paragraphs, 3 to 5 for the 3 solutions. So you're going to include at least 1 paragraph per solution. As you'll see in my sample essay, I ended up doing, because I used 2 sources for each solution, I broke it into about 2 paragraphs for each solution. You don't have to do that. So you may choose not to use one of your sources, but you do need to use 5 in the paper. So just make sure you've used 5 and that you have enough evidence in each paragraph. Here's the basic body paragraph format. You'll have a topic sentence, which basically you copy it from part of your thesis statement. Okay. It should be one of your thesis ideas mentioned in the thesis statement. Introduce your evidence, quote or paraphrase. Make sure it's properly cited again in MLA format. If you use a block quote, make sure that that's cited properly. And also make sure you have embedded lead-ins. That's why we had you get information about the source of the author. Analysis. Explain the evidence and its significance. Make sure you're introducing again the evidence, you quote or paraphrase again, more analysis, and then transition and concluding your paragraph. That's very important. Make sure you end the thought, you've proved that part of your thesis, and you move on to the next part. That's why we call it the T, the transition conclusion. And then finally, in your conclusion paragraph, you will reword the thesis statement. You will review the main points of the essay. You will relate it to Kingsway or the real world somehow, what's going to be the solution, and then round off. Your round off should be a couple sentences. You want to end with a bang, really make it a completed paper. Maybe touch on what you said in the beginning in your human truth. So that's it for the requirement and the format. Now I'm going to let you see a sample paper based on the notes I showed you. So here's my sample essay. I'm simply going to click and open it up. And I followed MLA format. I have inserted my page number at the top. I did make sure that this font was in Times New Roman 12 in my header. And then my heading, you can see, is student name followed by teacher name spelled correctly. Honors English 3, you just capitalize 3 I's in a row. And due date, I'm looking to May 12th as your due date for when this should be finished. All right, then you should have a title. Centered, how states, communities, and schools can increase college retention. And then what I did, all this stuff that's bolded and made bigger, you can take out. This is not part of the paper. I'm just showing you how I implemented all of the parts. So this is these are my opening paragraphs, which include my background information. So first is my habit. So all of this purple is my habit. All of this purple is my human truth, not my habit. But the whole paragraph's the habit, but this is my human truth. So this is something most people would agree about. All students think of college when they take their first steps into school. They are programmed to do so. Preschool programs start early by promoting the success of their past students, and parents wishing better for their children plant those seeds early. That sentence needs a little work. But the reality is that although many students enroll in college, most do not finish with a 4-year degree, and many drop out before they complete their freshman year. So I'm kind of introducing the topic, but here's the A. Now, there's no author, but I'm going to tell you that I'm authoring a lot of works. I'm referring to a lot of authors in this paper. So here's how I did that. This problem is addressed in countless articles, media reports, and education circles. It affects highly motivated students who have support as well as poorer students who struggle. All right, so now's my background information, and I did spend two paragraphs on my background. Here it is one of my sources being referred to. According to one article by a president and chief executive of a nonprofit educational organization dedicated to helping youth, here's the quote, dropout rates among community college students are extremely high. Less than 30% enroll full-time to earn their associate's degree in 3 years. So that's a stat, and that's by Ra. Notice I cited Ra. I did forget to put quotation marks, I just noticed. Author Bob Ra discusses these stats as well as the reasons college desperately need to retain students. He says, while job growth for all workers is expected to average 10%, job growth for those with an associate's degree is expected to grow at nearly double that rate at almost 19%. Job growth for associate's degree holders is expected to even surpass new job growth for bachelor's degrees. So I'm giving stats from Rath as to why it's important for students to stay in college and finish. College graduates are needed in the workforce. Here's my analysis, which I should have put an A here for analysis, and I forgot to do that. Make that big right now. So I gave a quote basically in my introduction, and I analyzed it. Always make sure you do that. That's for analysis. And then you always explain your quotes, even with background information. Okay, and then I end the paragraph with this. The more educated a person is, the higher their earnings. People with higher earnings contribute to the overall economy of the country and make the country productive and successful. So I'm reinforcing that college is important, that we need to keep students from dropping out. And then I'm transitioning, and here's a new paragraph with more background information. It is clear that college graduates make society better, and there are numerous sources that agree. The Encyclopedia of Education has many articles about the importance of students graduating college. In one article, John Bean notes. So I'm telling where John Bean wrote. What is he writing for? I think I needed to italicize that, actually. And then because this is a block quote, I have indented it. Okay? And it does not have quotation marks. And because I introduced Bean here, I do not need his name at the end. All right. I then go on to explain it. Bean mentions not only the loss of human capital, but also the individual's loss of earnings, the college's loss of funds, and even the possible loss of a career path offered by the college. So, and then I'm going to introduce my thesis here. So what is the solution to this very real problem and growing crisis in the nation? Students dropping out of college hurts society as a whole. Here's my thesis. Therefore, high schools, communities, and colleges need to come together to retain students by making sure programs are offered in high school to better academics. by offering valuable college orientation programs and by offering bridge programs that provide study on campus between high school and college. So there's my thesis, and then I'm going to move on from there. I'm already up to page 3. All that background took 2 pages. Again, yours does not have to be this long. So here's solution 1, and I'm going to follow the format. Topic sentence, introduce quote, quote, analyze, transition, and conclude. All right, so this topic sentence comes right out of my thesis statement. College preparation begins in high school or even sooner, but no matter how many students take college preparatory classes, there are still many not ready for college. So again, college preparation is important in high school. So that was part of my thesis statement. Schools can make courses hard, but this does not mean they won't prepare students for college. So schools need to be innovative and try programs that may help those from poor backgrounds. One program that is helpful in recent years is called AVID, and which stands for, editing as I go, which stands for Advancement via Individual Determination. So I go on, and there is all this information about the program. And then I continue, and I see more about another program. So I have 2 paragraphs for this reason. Okay. Then I get to solution 2. Note that there is a transition, a conclusion to the paragraph about the programs. Most importantly, high school programs may ensure that they are comfortable with learning past high school, and their time, money, and efforts will be rewarded and not wasted. So I concluded that section. However, there is much more that needs to be done to retain college students. That's a transition to the next part. Here's solution 2. Thus, colleges and universities must make sure they welcome students with outstanding orientation programs. One author notes, and then I just didn't finish this because I actually did this in a few hours for you. English teachers can do that, but I can add the information from my notes. So that part wasn't finished. And then solution 3, I still have to finish, but notice here is my topic sentence, which comes directly out of my thesis statement. There are many other ways communities can promote college retention besides orientations, because I just talked about orientations in that section. But one of the best ways is offering bridge programs. Okay, this is my 3rd solution now. So this next section will be all about bridge programs. And I did cite or introduce Carly Adams. All right, then after I'm all finished, I finally get to my conclusion. And you can see here, there are many ways to solve the college retention crisis, but there is not any one solution better than others. So I'm going to restate all my thesis statement points in a different way. Researchers point out that some of the best retention measures include preparation in high school, college orientations, and bridge programs. That was my thesis statement restated. Kingsway would do well to offer the AVID program or something like it. So I'm going to relate, and I'm going to also here review all my points from my paper. This is an unfinished closing, so I still need to do all of that. And then finally, I round off my closing. The nation and states must pay attention to college retention, but it is even more vital that parents and students begin steering their course in the right direction early. More needs to be done besides telling children they need to go to college and preschool. Businesses should invest in the youth of this country. Think how great the United States can really be if all those who enroll in college earn degrees. The nation will not only be stronger intellectually and economically, but definitely stronger emotionally as all individuals realize their full potential. So, again, this paper's unfinished. This is in the draft process still, but I think you've gotten a pretty good idea of how to format and write your paper. And then last but not least, you'll see the works cited, which, again, I will go over in more detail how I got mine to look like this. But you will notice every single author, their first name can be found in a citation in the paper. So if I took Adams, or I took Bean, or I took Lee, I could hit Control F and search for that in a citation, and it should come up. I should find it in my paper. There's Lee. Okay. And that's how I know that everything in the work cited was used in the paper and cited correctly. So a little trick. But that's pretty much it. And I'll be answering questions as we go through this whole process together. So good luck, and I will see you in class.